right now. Pittsburgh's best sports show is about to begin. Call us or tweet us. We've got things to talk about on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome inside the Fan Cave. This is the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. Bob Pompeani here. Andrew Fillipponi is there, which is 93.7 The Fan. You can hit us up on that hotline, which is 412-575-2600, or tweet X us at KDPomp at the Pony Express. I want to start with the NFL tonight, Andrew, before we get to the Pirates, and that is they were supposed to have their schedule released this week, tomorrow or Thursday. Now it's pushed back to next Wednesday. And from what I understand, they had an issue with scheduling Christmas this year because Christmas is on a Wednesday. So that would facilitate moving teams and how they play the week before, of course. You couldn't play Sunday, Wednesday, right? So it's going to be interesting to see what they come out with.
Yeah, and everyone seems to think we're going to start the season with a Russell Wilson reunion in Denver against the Broncos in prime time, which sounds great for us. Primetime games, you get done with work, you go home on a Monday night, you watch that great debut. Does the rest of America, though, want to have a standalone game between the Steelers and Broncos? Bo Nix. It might not even be Bo Nix. It could be the other guy there, Stidham, in week one, if they make Nix wait. So I don't know about that one, Bob. My prediction personally is that they'll open the season in Atlanta against the Falcons. Kirk Cousins in a new place, Russell Wilson in a new place. It'll be on CBS at 1 o'clock. You'll
Arthur
have
Smith
it.
Bowl.
Ian Eagle
Yep.
on the call. Yeah, something like that is my prediction. I don't think Denver and Pittsburgh in prime time. I mean, come on, Bob. You think that's really going to be Sunday Night Football's first game? Or Troy Aikman and Joe Buck? That seems like a stretch to me. I don't know.
Well, the only thing would be the Russell Wilson factor, but you're right. Counter that with Jared Stidham. You know, I don't
Is
expect...
the rest of the NFL that interested in Russell Wilson? Honestly.
Well, I don't know. I'm
We
just
are
saying,
because we're here in
I think-
Pittsburgh. If he had signed with, I don't know, the Giants, would we want to watch a Monday night game with Russell Wilson
No.
with New York? No, not at all.
Typically, they do 2 Monday night games, so we'll see what that holds when they
Well, they
announce the
stopped
schedule.
that practice last year. Remember, it was Jets-Bills all by itself, and
Yeah.
3 seconds in,
But,
Aaron Rodgers,
but I think
bad
they
injury,
were talking
we had to
about
watch
maybe
Zach
it coming
Wilson.
back. I don't know. Anyway, Tyler
Oh.
Boyd, the other news. Tyler Boyd signs today with Tennessee. Now, they have a pretty loaded wide receiving core that they've taken from 3 other teams with DeAndre Hopkins and Calvin Ridley, and now Tyler Boyd. Although I don't think it ever was going to realistically work here. What's your thought on them? And potentially it's Mason Rudolph. Who knows? He may win that job with those kind of receivers.
he
That's
will.
pretty good. And Callahan calling the plays.
Yeah, that sounds like a nightmare if the Steelers quarterbacks are struggling and at the halfway point of the season, Rudolph is riding high with those guys in Nashville. We'll be inundated with calls to this show with people saying, hey, I told you so. They should have re-signed Mason Rudolph. That was a blunder. They don't look at Boyd as anything more than a slot receiver, Bob. I think he's really good at that. But the problem is they have too many slot guys. You've got Roman Wilson, who you drafted, who's going to play inside. Tiny Calvin Austin, he can't play outside. He's too little. Quez Watkins came over from Philly. He's a slot receiver. They have a big abyss at the second receiver spot outside with only Van Jefferson there right now, Bob. That ain't going to cut it. 20 catches last year, 4 yards a target. That's not a wide receiver 2. He's never been a wide receiver 2 in his entire career. So I am worried about that. They had an amazing draft. Free agency, I think, was good to them too. But they did leave themselves vulnerable at a pretty important position, because if you don't fill that void, Bob, you know what that means? Double teams for George Pickens.
And frustration.
And that frustrates George.
Right.
Exactly.
That's not what
Read
you
in your
want.
mind, Bob. Look at us. ESP, buddy.
ESPN,
We're on the same page.
CTE, ESPN. Anyway, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. But I think there's unfinished business there, and I do think we'll see somebody else. Not sure how or who, but we'll see. Meantime, the Pirates. So I was over there. I saw Jeff Hathorne, Jared Barton, and I went over, and what I saw was the Pirates.
You're going every night now. They might as well have a reserved seat for you over there. You're loving going over and watching
Well,
those
I want
Bucks.
to see. I love baseball, but I also want to see some hitting. And tonight they got 3 hits, and I thought 2 were courtesy of some generous calls by the official scorer. And that's it. They got nothing. I mean, last night, Pony, without one swing from Edward Olivares, they have basically nothing in 2 games against this bad. Although I think Sandoval is a pretty good left-hand pitcher, and he was good tonight. So it's just still not encouraging, and they need to do something about it, and quickly, I think.
Yeah, I thought Priester's post-game comments were interesting because he said maybe we have too much emphasis on just throwing strikes. And Jared Jones, his philosophy is I throw the ball so hard and by people, if I live in the strike zone, guys are still going to swing and miss or not make great contact. Quinn Priester can't pitch that way. It can't be a one-size-fits-all philosophy. And I thought he admitted as much after the game, but their offense when he pitches, 0 runs in 4 starts, Bob?
Yeah.
What do they dislike about this guy? I mean, that's horrible. No runs in 4 starts, Quinn Priester. And it fuels the speculation. Is Quinn Priester like ships passing in the night? He's going to be on I-70, and they're going to stop at a get-go, and it's going to be Livy Dunn pumping gas going to Pittsburgh with Paul Skenes and Quinn Priester driving back to Indianapolis. Maybe he can go to St. Elmo and drown his sorrows in the very hot shrimp that they have there.
They haven't made one announcement on this, and I'm surprised by that. Anyway, we're due for a break. What I would say about Priester is it's hard to pitch when you get no runs, and his best outing this year was 6 scoreless, and they had nothing to show for it. So that's on them as well offensively. And their hitting coach, Andy Haynes, they got to get something going here. 412-575-2600. Call us. This is the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. We're live right here on KDKA+. Welcome back. Our GMC Sierra tweet of the night comes from Brett McGuire. It says Kevin Pillar is just the 12th player in Angels franchise history with 2 home runs, 3 extra base hits, and 6 runs batted in a game. And they've had some big names out there. The last to do that, Kendrys Morales back in 2009. Interesting that Kevin Pillar picked up by them, and he had 6 runs batted in tonight. Guys like Michael A. Taylor, guys like Rowdy Tellez, and others don't even have that, or Tellez has 8, okay, but 6 in one night versus that, and therein lies the problem, Andrew. Over the years, the Pirates have spent a lot of money on guys, 1-year contracts to come in and do something, and they to me, they waste a lot of money. I'd rather package all those guys, whether it's Taylor, whether it's Pillar, whether it's even Chapman for that matter, and put it all into something bigger, some guy who can come in and actually make a difference in this lineup.
I mean, they're really spending a lot of money. I don't think when Antonio Brown wrote that song, Bob, he was talking about the Pirates in free agency. Right? I mean, they're signing 1-year deals left and right. I hear you. There really is not. Now, I will be fair, though. They've done a much better job in the last couple of years of signing their own guys to long-term deals. Brian Reynolds, Mitch Keller, Key Brian Hayes. Before we'd scoff and really ridicule them for allowing for guys to leave before their first contracts were up. They've extended those guys into the primes of their careers, but there's really not been, since the Chris Archer trade, Bob, there really has not been a big move to bring in someone from outside the organization.
No, not at all. And again, these little
and
one-year
sorry,
deals
I was distracted.
drive me nuts.
I have to admit something. I was just distracted. My phone was blowing up during the break. I thought the tweet of the night was going to be, this just went online. Lamar Jackson was sitting for this piece he did where he's reading tweets from people ripping him, and one of the tweets was from me.
Really?
Yes.
Is this online somewhere?
Yeah, I'm going to retweet it in a second here, Bob.
Okay,
you can see it during the next break.
All right, let's go to the lines at 412-575-2600. We'll begin with John in Cranberry, who's our number 1 Cochrane Go One Better caller of the night. John, go right ahead, sir.
Thanks for taking my call. Andrew, hello. I wanted to talk about what you guys were talking about as far as the offense. Now we're coming on to the quarter full of the season. Ben this is year 5 for Ben and Shelton. I think one of the things they can do and they should do is Gonzalez. I don't know if you saw, he had a home run and a single tonight.
Totally raking, yep.
He's got 19 RBIs. His OPS is like 1,050. I think at least try to bring him up and maybe send down either Williams or Triola. But we've got to do something because, to your point, the other thing that's like worrisome is that the guys that they're drafting, they just aren't seem to be developing. It's coming to a point where they've got to do something.
Yeah, they have to. And they have another guy down there, Jake Lamb, who's playing very well. He's been a very good defensive player during his time. I know he's a journeyman kind of player, but they have answers, or at least temporary answers, I would say, in their system, and they should bring him up. Gonzalez has been up here before, Andrew. I don't understand why he couldn't get a call up right now.
Well, they must have a set number of games they want to see these guys and give them the players that made the roster out of spring training who aren't injured and are healthy. They must want to give them a certain number of at-bats or games before they make decisions based on performance. And I don't agree with that, especially when your offense is in the bottom third of the league. I think they were 24th in runs scored coming into tonight's action. So many guys hitting way below 230. So many guys hitting for very little power. And so you do have a guy in Gonzalez. He is crushing AAA pitching. I know it's a level below the major leagues, but you drafted him with a top 10 pick. You had high aspirations for the guy. Did it all change because he was subpar? Last year, you would think because he's a Ben Cherington guy, he'd want to give him ample chances, Bob, to show he can play at the major league level. So I get the Jake Lamb thing because he is 33 years old, and it's been a very long time since he was a productive major leaguer. But I don't get it on Gonzalez. Now that he's red hot, let's see if this guy is the player he was drafted to be, a starting second baseman in the big leagues.
Andy joins us in Mars right now on the hotline. What's up, Andy?
Hey, hi, guys. I was just wondering what your thoughts are on the offensive line. I'm concerned that people are getting way overblown on their expectations for this group early on. Eventually, I think it's a huge step forward. But I'm concerned that people are thinking this is going to automatically mean we're going to the Super Bowl. It's going to take time for them to gel. You know, you got two rookies, one's at center, presumably, and
Right.
I'm guessing a whole new playbook.
Yeah, and also two new quarterbacks. So Andy, those are all good points. They have a whole new everything going on with this, which is why I expect them to play a lot in the preseason. There should be no limitations on what these guys can do. They got to figure that out before they get in, because as we've seen, Andrew, one loss, it could be September, it could be October, whenever it is, can affect what happens to a playoff situation, whether it's a wild card or a playoff spot. So you can't afford to do that. So as far as the offensive line, I think they did everything right. I don't know what else you could have done.
I agree 100% with the caller. I mean, I do think that there's going to be a lot of transitional growth with this team because there's so many new components of the offense, the coach, the quarterback, and new guys on the offensive line, presumably 2 starters, maybe 3 new starters if you go by Broderick Jones going from right to left tackle and changing positions as well. Going to have to ask the defense to carry this team, and they should be okay with that because of all the star power they have on that side of the ball. Mike Tomlin's the coach. You also brought Queen in. I do wonder, Bob, with the line and the fact that it might not be ready to go in a finished product early on, I do think that Justin Fields is actually a better quarterback for a line that is in a state of flux because he can make plays with his legs. And he can get out of there and run around and do things on the fly. And I'm just not confident that Russell Wilson can do that at this point in his career,
No,
Bob.
he's 36, and I wouldn't expect him to do what he used to do. He still can get out of things. But you're right, Fields is more of an option when it comes to broken down plays or people coming in on him quicker than you would have expected. Real quick, let's go one more call here. We have Lou in Baldwin. What's up, Lou? How are you?
Hello, Lou. Sweet Lou.
Guys.
Hello.
I think the only way to get a winning ball club here is if they move the team out of here to another city and us get a franchise in here or an expansion team.
Well,
I want to spend some money and put some talent on the field.
Well, that ownership situation is not going to change. People keep talking about it and talking about it. It's a family investment for Bob Nutting. So that's not going to change. What should change, however, is the amount of things they do to come in and help what they have. If they get people playing together and starting to see a nucleus form and that nucleus is good, then go up and bring somebody in to supplement them. They need more of that. Maybe not now, Andrew, but down the road, if these guys do what you're supposed to do, and you have Skenes, you have Jones, you have Keller is a third starter. You can win some games if you have some hitting, and they need hitting. That's one of the things they don't have.
Yeah, Paul Skenes, unless they have him DHing, not going to help with that. He's not going to provide offense. Make it easier maybe to win 2-1 games with him on the mound, but he's not going to be able to supply any punch to their lineup. Bob, do you think he'll start this weekend? What's your crystal ball say? You're so good on these things.
Except
will we see
one.
Paul Skenes on Saturday?
I thought so all along. And they're, again, yesterday when, Derek Shelton said scheduled start, but then he said we really don't know yet. They should know yet. They should know exactly what's going on with him, and they seem to keep playing that off. So I get the feeling that may not happen. I think it should happen this week. He's due to pitch him up here. What are we wasting for? So, yeah, I'm going to stick to that until I see otherwise, and so far I haven't seen otherwise, so I don't think that's going to change. By the way, the Rangers and Carolina 3-3 going in overtime, second overtime. Jake Enso has 2 of those 3 goals. And Pony, they had the draft lottery. The Penguins do not have a number 1 pick this year. It goes to San Jose. They could get one if Carolina goes to the finals. Are you optimistic?
No. Yeah, I am. So all they need to do is get to the finals, right? Not win it.
Get to the finals.
They just got to get there. Oh, I think that can absolutely happen. And ESPN, you flipped over to the second game.
Yes, they did.
With less than a minute left.
I was hoping a goal was scored.
Talking about asleep at the switch. That's like the Heidi moment from the old American Football League.
I was hoping they'd score a goal and come back and it's like, what do you do? I'm sure they caught a lot of flack for it anyway. We're due for a break. We'll take it right here. It's the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call on KDKA+. Let's get a check-in on what's happening tonight. KDK News at 11 o'clock. Here's Ken Rice.
Hey, Bob, tonight, First Alert meteorologist Ray Pelton's tracking potentially severe storms in the area, plus new charges filed against the man accused of pointing a gun at a pastor during a church service, and why a former Steeler was mentioned during testimony at the Trump trial in New York today, all coming up at 11.
All right, Ken, thanks very much. All right, Pony, read the tweet that got Lamar Jackson not happy with whatever you tweeted. I'd like to hear what it was.
Do you really want me to do that?
Yeah, I do. I mean, I see what he's doing. He's sitting there, it's like mean tweets. He's reading a bunch of tweets that say he's going to be fueled by these.
Okay, this is what it said. I wrote, congrats to Lamar Jackson on winning his second MVP. He still sucks against the Steelers and stinks in the playoffs. Have a great night. That's all, folks.
And what did he respond?
And he responded, yes. He responded with, let's see. He said, we did beat the Texans in the second round, and I want you to retweet that when we kill the Steelers next year.
Oh, there we go. See that?
I don't think I'm going to have to worry about retweeting that, Bob.
Yeah, who knows when they're going to play. Maybe it's going to be Christmas Day because that's been the big bugaboo with these schedules.
Oh, no.
How about that?
Don't do that to me.
Hey, how about me? Hopefully not. We're out of time. We'll reconvene on that a little bit later after next week. Thanks, Pony. Appreciate it. Good night, everyone. We'll see you back here tomorrow for the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call.